Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms, we got to talk about rallying barb forts, and we got to talk about kingdoms requiring you to rally barb forts. Because if your kingdom isn't already doing this, I think it is for sure the future. And before we talk about the future, let's talk about the past. If you're subscribed to the channel, you know that back in the day, from these little fort trophy chests, you could get an unlimited number of AP bottles. Bro, back in the day, barb forts were so busted powerful. Because obviously getting AP bottles is just good, but being able to then take those AP bottles, use them in KVK, and get crystals was actually disgusting. Now, obviously, it does not work the way that it did back in the day, where you could get unlimited AP bottles without even participating in a single fort rally. Other people could do all the work for you, but you still can get AP bottles from barb fort loot if you're lucky. So why is it that alliances very likely, if they haven't already, set a requirement for you to rally some number of barb forts? Let's talk about this. My restart kingdom just put a barb fort minimum. Now, I'm going to show you the two extremes of this. My restart kingdom and my main account, all right? My restart kingdom, also known as my small account, just put this in where everybody needs to do a minimum of 20 forts per week. It ain't much, okay? If you aren't doing 20 forts, like, bro, the bar is so low. I love this kind of bar because as an officer, it's so easy to see, like, really who isn't trying and who is. So I really like this as a approach where there's a minimum, the bar is extremely low, 20 per week is extremely achievable, everybody benefits. Not only, by the way, do we get a bunch of resources from these chests, okay, over here, but also it builds toward getting a treasure of crystal, which can give you some speed ups, right? But my main account kingdom takes this to an extreme. P.S. Shout out to my restart kingdom. You can transfer here. Migration Discord linked on screen. My main account kingdom takes this to an extreme. And by the way, before I flip over, what was I doing just now? I was just looking to see if there were any barb fort rallies that didn't have two people in them. This is called a 1+1 strategy. One person sets the rally, somebody fills the rally, and so the rally sends. That's the general strat, the goal. The least amount of people possible to run the fort is the play. I don't care what level of fort I'm rallying, by the way, as long as it's like 7 or higher, which is easy to find in Zone 3. The reason that I'm interested in that, where are my rallies? There we go. The reason I'm interested in that is because these barb forts take a really long time, I believe, to despawn. So if you want something else to respawn in its place, you got to get rid of the low-level ones anyways. But if I swing on over to my main account, my big account, the thing that's worth mentioning here is that we do 15 forts per player per day. So this is the opposite extreme. This is one of the strongest kingdoms in the game. It's 2377. We're here with Wild Lion and Mr. Hope. Things are taken very, very seriously here. This kingdom's not for everyone, and that's kind of the point. If you're too serious about the game, this is a good kingdom to come to, okay? But I mention that because your options are 15 barb forts per day, or you contribute per week 5 gold chests to the alliance. You can pay your way out of the obligation. But $500 a week in the form of gold chests is how you do that. Which, like, in an alliance with Wild Lion and Mr. Hope, like, yes, we have those kinds of spenders who will take that route. And if they're busy people, they might hit their barbs and, like, call it a day. But for the most part, everybody is just rallying barb forts anyways. Okay? Because, again, it is totally freaking busted to be accumulating AP bottles for KVK, which then can become crystals, and there's only so much crystal velocity you can get from spending, so if you want an advantage beyond spending, it is the AP bottles. This is a big deal, even if you're in a more casual kingdom. it is a big deal. I actually think I have like at least 3 million AP on my restart account, my small account, because I've just been saving. So 1 KVK, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to slam barbs from start to finish. And I'm going to have so much rally garrison tech beyond what anyone else can do. I'll max buy the crystals that, like, for some KVK where it really matters, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's going to be funny. Yes, there's a disadvantage for having held my bottles for this long, but I've already come this far, so forget the sunk cost fallacy. We're moving all in. All right, so if you're on board for rallying barb forts, especially if your kingdom is as active as 2377, you run into this problem that I have here, where I'm like looking for a barb fort and looking for a barb fort and looking for a barb fort and still looking. And finally, I found a level 5. Bro, I don't want to do a level 5. So I try to find another one. I finally find a level 8. I'm going to have to walk a long-ass way. 5 minutes and 16 seconds. I mean, this is not the combination I'd use. I'd use this. But this is going to take a really long time to spend my AP this way. I have to check in multiple times per day. Now, that's fine, okay? But the point I'm making is that you may want to speed things up. How do you do that? With a second set of equipment. So I rally barb forts on this account with 2 different configurations. One configuration is with a set of gear and armaments that's so cheap, it's costing me nearly nothing. Okay, I got some speed gear. It's not the best, but it is what it is. I'm using Minamoto double C for max barb damage. I've got the, museum buffs going, and I've got the equipment that's just a small amount of materials, but gives me bonus damage to barbarians. Because obviously a barbarian fort qualifies as a barbarian. I've got these greaves. I don't know, there might be something better I could do. I've got the Trial of the Lost Kingdom from VIP. I bought it long ago. You can do better. The goal is just low materials. And then, of course, a Savage Totem for the damage to barbarians, which uses bones, right? So the lowest material cost possible. The only thing that's kind of sus is this Call of the Loyal. I could theoretically dismantle this for a small amount of materials. I may do that at some point if I just need the small amount to kind of get to what I need to make something bigger. But this is not going to get the best result, though, is the thing. This right here does not get the best result. In fact, did I set that rally? No. So what I did is I took my second set of gear, because I have 3 sets of cav gear on this account, and I made a preset with that set of gear, because rallying the level 10 barb forts was not amazing. It was kind of getting a lot of sevs here. So I used my backup gear. And my backup, well, actually, these are barb fort armaments. So if you aren't already hanging on to some amount of barb damage armaments, I think it can be very helpful to have stuff like this. This is, what a double inscription, but at least it was damage to barbs. So I found a use, right? Like damage to barbs, damage reduction, damage to barbs. Even a purple one can be good for this. Pacifier, damage to barbs. So you can get I don't know, I want to say 40 to 50% barb damage like this, which does matter. Okay, it does make it better. But the other thing that I do is I'll use my main set of equipment to rally periodically. That main set of equipment is currently on Huo. So Huo plus literally almost any other commander is going to be great. Huo with Nevsky, Huo with Arthur I've used, right? The gear is so good, the commanders are so good, the armaments are so good. I use my main set, basically. So when I'm walking home from my dedicated barb march, I can set another rally right away with a pairing that's got great gear on it. Because if you try to rally without gear these days on a level 10, you are going to have a repair bill that is going to suck. As far as talents go, I don't know. It's Minamoto in 2025. We can talk about it. But I've got this build over here, pushing the damage and the march speed, because like I said, you want to go get it done and get yourself back, but you also need to hit pretty hard these days to wreck a barb fort. So I'm only taking the march speed buff and the cost to rally barb forts as a reduction over here. I could go further for a bunch more march speed, 9% over there. And then even more. No, I guess it's just the 9% over here. But I'm not doing it because it's a lot of talent points for just a little march speed. I do take the 9% rally damage over here. And I did take 9% more normal damage to barbs along the way. You deal 15% more skill damage to barbs. All that feels important to me. From there, I went all in on Feral Nature because, like, generating rage seems good. And going up here to get healing, like, this isn't helping me with Barb Forts. So I didn't want to go all the way there, right? I didn't want this more damage taken, but also more damage dealt. Like, I don't know. It is good, but it's not as good, I felt, as just going all in on getting more rage. So I went Feral Nature. I took Rejuvenate. I'm making it so I deal more skill damage and take more skill damage. Because it's Minamoto and he does damage over time, I could take Latent Power with no downside, but I figured the higher skill damage upside was the way to go. And I got a point over here for March Speed and a little health along the way. You know, just a little bit of cav points. I suppose I could eke out more damage, to be honest, by getting rid of these points and putting them into Latent Power, and then finding something else to do with the remaining 4 points. I don't really know where those will go. Like, it could just be attack stats might be the best way to go. So it is funny that even now it's like, well, I could push damage more, actually. And I think it would be slightly better, but only slightly, right? March Speed is kind of handy to get home and run more forts all over again, but it is only 3%. So look at that. We found something I may change here. Worth a reset? I don't know. I guess it depends on how many reset tomes you have, right? My Minamoto is maxed. My double C's, it's maxed, and I have the museum buffs, which makes it, at least I think I have the museum buffs. I'm pretty sure I have Mina. Yeah, Mina double C, both maxed. All right. There you go. I've heard people use Ethel to great effect, but for these higher level forts, you really do need to have gear equipped. So a lot of people don't have leadership gear as like a backup set that you could then equip to your Barb Fort rally and run that. That's a thing that you could do, right? Depending on how you've done your presets for Canyon, right? You can not have your gear on your Canyon team, and then instead you could have your gear on like 2 Barb Fort rallies, depending again what your leadership situation is. I think most people don't have a leadership situation, so anyways, you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. Rallying Barb Forts was a big part of the past and has once again become a required part of our future. And I think it's actually healthy for most kingdoms to do this. For non-casual kingdoms anyways. So, you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. Check the cards in the end screen if you're looking for, I don't know, something I think you'll find entertaining. One vid YouTube will recommend, one video I'll recommend. All right, until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.